Okay. Michelle, do you happen to have a slide for the agenda?
I do not.
Okay. I know off the top of my head.
Okay, I can.
So we don't have Andrew today. He's traveling, so you're stuck with me, unfortunately for you. But we do have an interesting program for you this afternoon or this morning, depending where you're coming from. Um, First, we're going to start out with a new contest that we're announcing. I'll get into that momentarily. Then we have a new respond rule that we want to share with you. So Amanda or Leron will be sharing that with all. And then after that, Adam Steinhoff is going to give us an update on where we are with the mobile app. So some of you probably don't even realize we're coming out with a mobile app, but we are, and Adam's going to show us the progress on that. Then we've got our old friend Will Ominsky. So Will comes to us from Nerdio. Will and I go way back to Thrive Networks. I hired Will as a sales rep at Thrive back in 2007, Will?
Yeah, it was 2006, 2007. Yeah.
Yeah. And now he's doing great things over at Nerdio. We also work together at a company called Independence IT. And that factors into this because we were kind of the pioneers in the cloud workspace, virtual desktop arena. And so we know a lot about that space. Chip knows a lot about that space. But one of the things that we find is that there's a misconception out there about using SaaS alerts within a virtual desktop environment. And our friend Will is going to dispel that myth for us today. So we're excited to have him later. And then lastly, if we have time, we are going to get into any questions that people may have on their Fortify usage to date. So that's today's program. And first, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about our new contest. So hopefully everyone read the newsletter that went out yesterday from cover to cover, and they already know about this. But in case you didn't, we are launching a contest called Forti-fest. So everyone's heard of Oktoberfest. Everyone seems to love Oktoberfest. So we're actually, and October is also Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So we're actually taking the opportunity to create a contest around Fortify. So it starts now and runs until Halloween, the entire month of October. And it's really simple. It's 3 rules. One, which of our partners can get one of their customers to a security score of 100 the fastest. 2, who can actually, with a minimum number of 10 customers or tenants on the platform, who shows the highest improvement, like lowest score to highest score using our actions. And then the third award is, Michelle, help me. Was the third award?
It's the highest percentage of connected clients.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Hi. So this doesn't even matter how big you are, right? So you could be an MSP with 1,000 tenants, and if you've got all 1,000 on there, you're batting 100. Let's just say you've got 900 out of your 1,000, you're at 90%, right? But let's just say you're an MSP of only 10 tenants, but you've got all 10 on, you're at 100%, right? So that actually puts you ahead of the 90%, 90% MSP there. So those are 3 different awards. They're all going to be paid out the same. So they're all $500 a piece to the winner. Plus, because we're announcing this a week before Thanksgiving, we're also going to make a $500 donation on behalf of your MSP to your local food bank in your area. So it's a win-win-win for everybody. So that is Forti-fest. And if you want to see all the rules written down, please refer to the newsletter in your inbox or in your spam folder from yesterday. So that is Forti-fest. Any questions or comments? Okay. Most of you are lucky that Ben Jones now works for SaaS Alerts because he is now ineligible for these contests.
Wait a minute.
So that takes one almost guaranteed winner out of the equation. So if we don't have any questions on Forti-fest, then we can move to our new respond rule. So we have Liron or Amanda.
Yeah, it's Amanda. I'll take over.
Okay. Thanks, Amanda.
So for everyone, again, how to navigate to your rule templates within SaaS Alerts, go to respond, and then from the top menu inside of respond, pick rule templates. This new rule is specifically designed to look for weak MFA. So if someone has set up their phone number or their email as the MFA method, it's going to fire off the alert. Ben actually came up with this one as well. So if you do want to use it or just view it, it'll be in the list now of events here for weak MFA method detected. To view it, eyeball, to actually use it, you want to click the duplicate button. It'll then create a new rule for you from that. Again, remind yourself to name it something more appropriate. And while we're talking about this feature, I want to call out that the description field has also been added. So this was something that specifically on this call, the community talked to us. Field, so you can, why you created it, when you created it, what you're using it for, something else more descriptive so that you knew what the rule was really targeted for. Currently, all of our templates now have a description for them. They're telling you what to use it for and what the indication is for as well. And then you can take that description and modify it once it's your own rule and you're using it. So if you wanted to say, a 921 turned on for XYZ, whatever other details you want, but you still have use of the description that we're providing you as well. So once you've given it, an appropriate name, description, and then reviewed which organizations and accounts you want to turn it on for, you can then use this rule to detect weak MFA methods and have it up and running. So if anybody has any questions on that, let me know.
Questions, comments in chat or spoken?
Thanks for making this rule.
I would just like to say that it was a team effort between me and Amanda.
Okay, Mike likes the description field. People, how many, I guess, show of hands in chat, how many folks anticipate using this rule? Okay, I see Andy's hand up, but if you want to throw in chat, okay, we got a bunch of thumbs up there. Thank you. Okay. We just want to make sure that we're creating stuff that people want. So, okay. Any questions for Amanda before we let her go?
Chip has one. He wants to know if there's a way to detect new MFA authenticators added.
New meaning if you add a phone number and you already had email, is that the question?
No, my question was more of yesterday I was on a call with some folks and one of the guys had a man-in-the-middle attack where somebody clicked on a spam and they went to open the document and the Microsoft login popped up and the hacker was able to grab the login at the same time that she was logging in, even though it was an authenticator. They were able to replicate that as she was logging in from an outside location And then they went in and created another authenticator and then compromised the email. So I was looking yesterday to see if there was a way to write an alert at least for new authenticators added, and I couldn't see a way to do that. So I was looking forward to this call.
Yeah, so right now, we detect the phone or the email. So if, for example, they had email set up and then someone went behind, it doesn't even matter if they're behind their back or not. If someone goes and adds then phone to then take over, you would get the alert that MFA was enabled, and it would have that it was phone set up. So each time that MFA is enabled on that account, there is an event that gets logged as MFA enabled.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think to put a fine point on that though, Amanda, we're gonna have to look and see if we specifically get an authenticator app designation.
Yeah, right now
'Cause
we
I
do
know
not.
Yeah, I know we capture that event overall when MFA is updated or changed, or a different method is chosen. But that could be the same method that's already chosen. So we'd have to see if Microsoft actually logs a differentiator between one authenticator app and another. Does that make sense, Chip?
Yeah, just tracking an update to MFA, I suppose, would be a great alert to have, because
Yeah, that we already do.
yeah, okay, I'll have to try and find that one again. Then I'll spend some more time trying to alert on that with a reaction to, at least update a ticket or do something to look at it, because people don't update their MFAs very often. There's no reason to. So that would be a good thing to track.
Right.
Yeah, and Chip, just so you know, it doesn't come up as update MFA. It just says MFA enabled again. Each time they do
Okay.
process MFA enabled.
I saw that MFA enabled a trigger. I saw that, but then I didn't really dive into it so much. So I'll get with one of my engineers and try and do that. I'm not really an engineer. I just sell things.
Yeah, no problem. But that's what it'll be called, is MFA enabled. Even if it's an update, that's what it'll be called.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
And by the way, Mr. Evans, don't shortchange yourself. You sounded like an engineer there for a while. So
Well, I play one on TV.
okay.
I call myself a technical sales rep. So
Okay. You stayed at a Holiday Inn
Did you
Express
stay at a
restaurant?
Holiday Inn Express?
exactly.
Okay. Awesome. Chip, thanks for the question.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anybody else have anything?
Jim, before we switch over, and if you have questions, feel free to ask. We just wanted to get a sense of who's going to be at DattoCon. Amy had asked me to get us ask you guys. So if you could just pop in the chat why, if you're going to be there, that would be great.
Thanks, guys. I forgot to ask to be on the agenda, so I've been sneaking Michelle messages to see if she can squeeze this in for me. Okay, awesome. Dave, you guys, whoever says yes, you'll be there. Expect that I'm going to reach out to you and see if you want to sit with me and do a testimonial on site. We'll make it really, really easy and super fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Michelle.
So we got 2 folks already at DattoCon.
Oh, yeah, you'll definitely get a free shirt and one of our new hats.
Ooh, boy.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And
Adam's Adam's now saying he wants a free hat. So this is actually a good segue into the next topic. Adam, you can get a free hat if this goes well, your session. So we have decided to launch a mobile app, and our leader of the MSP Tools division, Adam Steinhoff, has been working on it and has an update. So Adam's going to take us through it and get any feedback from you guys. Adam, take it away.
All right, I see you can see my screen with a little mobile app teaser there.
Yep.
Fantastic. All right, so I hope to earn a hat. If you all can just give me kudos in the chat window after this, that'd be fantastic. So Jim will let me cover my dome. So we decided we were going to launch a mobile app probably about 4 months ago, and it was supposed to be an MVP, basically me just proving that we can do it. And then, like any project that you guys have probably run before, there's scope creep, and real people got involved with like really nice graphics and things like that. So slowed it down a little bit, but we have an app. And so this is just kind of a teaser on what features we're hoping to deliver with this MVP app and what it's going to kind of look like. If you've got great ideas and I'm missing something, I'd love to have you throw them in the chat and or email me at adam@saasalerts.com. So very first things first, I really looked at this as being like 4 main features in the app. And so the first one being replacing SMS with push notifications for respond actions. So I probably don't need to talk about why SMS is just terrible. But one of the main reasons that I was envisioning was you're sitting on an airplane, you're at 30,000 feet, and a respond rule triggers. And you've actually paid for the Wi-Fi, or you're on Delta and you get it for free. And you get a little push notification that says you need to do something and you need to do it now. And I'd much rather know that I had it done at 30,000 feet than waiting to land, send my text message to my wife saying that I landed and I'll be at the gate soon, and then starting to roll through and trying to figure out what happened. And then navigating the app or the website via the mobile app or mobile browser just seems bad. So number one, being able to respond events, whether I have SMS connectivity or not. Number two is just the ability to approve those. Currently today, you get a ticket or you get a text message with a URL that says that you need to do something, but there's no real to-do screen where you can go and look at all of the pending actions that need to be done for any respond rules that may have triggered prior. So that's in there. The other item is the ability to see any alerts that have been generated, low, medium, critical, at a glance from a mobile. So, sitting on the soccer field on the sideline cheering my son on, and probably should be paying attention to the game, but I have the ability to look at events if I need to look at events and alerts without having to have my laptop with me. And then finally, just, again, being able to use it from anywhere in a very convenient fashion. So this is the pretty logon screen. Once you get into the app, this is the menuing system on the left-hand side that we'll be working on. Right-hand side is a profile. You'll notice that we have biometrics. One of the goals for this was being able to utilize the native mobile biometrics, whether it be thumbprint or face scan, to log in so that you don't have to do it the hard way every single time. This is a quick view of what the to-do list is going to look like. So these would be each respond triggers that have triggered and need some sort of approval or rejection. And then finally, you have the ability to click on the actual item and it'll pop up and it's going to show you, what is the rule trigger name, what were the account, organization, and application that triggered it, what actually triggered it, when it triggered, and then some of the conditions and what will actually happen in the respond actions if you approve or reject it. Also, you'll be able to click events, and it's going to show you at this point in time the last 24 hours of events for the particular account in question. So it's not going to be an indicator of compromise, formatted list just yet. I hope to get there someday. I see your hand, Andy. I will finish one more slide and then answer your question. Lastly, this is the alert screen. It'll be designed in an infinite scroll type of fashion to where you can go through and look at all the events. The ideal is also to roll out the analyze functionality where you have full filtering capabilities for account, product, dates, priority, basically any of the fields that are available for the alerts. So with that, I hope the clapping starts and I earn my hat. I do see Andy's got his hand up. So what you got, Andy?
Question, when an alert is triggered, is there any way that we could look up a method of contact for this person so that we could actually confirm with them? Was this intentional? For example, we had a login in Canada for a customer that we were told was in Mexico for one of their operators. And we had to reach out and say, guys, we've disabled this account, but we want to know, do you need, is this legit or not? So having the ability to look and get a method of contact for the individual that's called out here, either linking it into Autotask or giving us some methodology, that would be awesome. So we could actually make that call.
That is a really cool idea. I will add it to my list in product speak. I'd love to have a day and time where the end user has this app in their hand and maybe they're getting a push notification saying, is this you? And being able to empower you all to empower your end users even. But, this is a MVP in product speak, and we hope to build aggressively on this, or as aggressively on this as we do with our main app and the website.
So Andy, I want to chime in and supplement Adam's enthusiasm for the idea with some current realism, not to tamp down it, because I also agree it's a good idea. And the way we would want to pursue this more along the lines of what Adam just needs to be the option, or a specific contact in the end user organization also have access to the app. Today, we don't store any information about MSP customers. And the reason for that is, and Jim will vouch for this, very early on, and maybe this attitude has changed, but very early on, we got a lot of feedback from MSPs that basically said, we're not giving you contact information with our customers. We're not going to trust you with that. We've been ripped off by too many other MSP products that turn around and sell around us and steal our customers. And you get the whole idea. It also puts us in not a difficult situation, but another situation that we need to navigate in maintaining personal contact information for your customers. So there's some things to navigate there. We definitely want to make it easier for someone who's using the mobile app to be able to reach out and take action. So we'll find some ways to do that, but I wanted to just let you know that it's not quite as simple as Adam getting excited about it and it can just go get done.
If I could just elaborate a moment further, and that is, there is a tenant mapping that occurs between SaaS Alerts and, in my case, Autotask. Having the ability to say, here's a reference for this customer, because in our case, it was operations that had logged in from Canada. And so there is not necessarily a named individual, and I would have to cross map that information. And so being able to reference specifically who I'd go to in my Autotask or in my piece to reach out, I get putting it on our point of contact, but having a way for an engineer or someone in a plane at the time to kind of deal with this would be helpful, besides just shutting it down and saying, hey, you have to wait till we land.
Great. Any other
questions,
noted. Comments?
Someone wrote to us up here. Okay, I think you answered it, Adam. Action form in the app would, yep.
So if I may hijack one item here, I did have a call quickly with BrightGauge this morning. There are a lot of partners who have asked for BrightGauge integrations. The way they decide to do integrations is by folks wanting them. So if you are an active BrightGauge client and you want a SaaS integration with BrightGauge at some point, they have requested that you send an email to support@brightgauge.com and tell them that you want an integration. And then we can get at it. So thanks for letting me hijack that. Not like I gave you much choice, but
yeah. So a few things to follow up here. First of all, going back to the app for a second, how many folks, and again, it's not an either or situation with your PSA, right? It's an and. How many folks would anticipate using the mobile app? Y in chat for yes, N for no. Okay. Okay.
That looks like a hat to me, Jim. I don't know about you, but a lot of Ys.
Yeah. Gary,
Maybe
curious.
it's a band-aid.
Yeah. Curious, Gary, why at this point are you unsure?
It just has to do with workflow for the engineers. The question, if they're responding to tickets, they're likely at their desk. And I'm not sure if it's going to be easier for them to use an app versus just, logging in directly to the portal. If they're on call and get an alert, then that certainly might make it easier.
I was going to say, like, do you have people at their desk 24/7, 365?
No, but they're also not going to be monitoring those alerts during their on-call hours unless an emergency comes in. So right now we actually don't have an emergency process for any of these tickets unless I see it. So that's why I'm not clear yet, because if we have an alert that's an emergency, so let me rephrase that. So if the app has the ability to alert the on-call person, alert somebody of a high priority ticket or thing, that might be helpful. But now I have the question of, they're only on call once every 4 or 5 weeks.
Yep.
Because it rotates.
Yeah, this is a feature, back when I ran my MSP, managing the on-call rotation and all the different apps and notifications that needed to go to a particular person was quite the feat. I do have a dream of being able to have you guys set who the on-call person or device should be for a particular week or month or whatever, and having those notifications really only go to that phone as an option. As of today, that's not the way it will be, but I've definitely started to map out how an on-call rotation would work with this.
Yeah, no, it was, and in theory, I love the concept, but it's just another thing for us to manage as it relates to who's on call versus kind of the easy way right now, which is it goes to a global distribution list and it's the on-calls person. It's their job to keep an eye on that. So neither is perfect for us at this point, and that's probably why I'm on the fence.
Okay. Eric says, why reinvent the wheel? Solutions exist for that already.
Yeah, well, I have solutions for paging for our on-call or for our emergency.
No, I don't know. In fairness, I don't know if Eric is talking to us.
He is. He's
Okay.
He's saying pager duty. I think Eric's talking to us.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry. I'll just come on. Yeah. I mean, we already have solutions, right, for notifications that include all of our tools. So I think I don't know that SaaS Alerts needs to create that. We already have the integration with our ticketing system and our PSA that's sending a page out, or calling or emailing whoever is on call. So you don't need to create that. I mean, that solution already exists, right? And it includes all of our tools. It's not just one tool. So
yeah, so let me back up a second and maybe share with everyone, not maybe, but share with everyone what the initial motivation for us to begin exploring a mobile app was. And what it comes down to is when we released Respond, we've recognized that most of our partners who are using Respond are using the SMS feature. We've discovered through this journey that SMS is staggeringly unreliable. Carriers drop messages randomly. We went through an entire SMS, not just from us, but from everybody. So we realized that given the fact that people are wanting to rely on a mobile communication method or mobile device communication method, we had to come up with an opportunity to steer away from SMS and offer something that has a higher probability of success of getting that Respond alert notice to a mobile device. So Eric, to your point, that's why we reinvented the wheel on this specific use case.
Chip, that's funny, kind of funny. So like having, many of our tools that do SMS for, MFA and other things, very rarely do I find that I'm not getting them. I've heard you talk about some of those issues and pains, but as a consumer, I'm not seeing it, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, we've definitely seen it. I mean, we had one of our big miss a breach because of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And Gary, it's hit or miss. We're sending, I don't even know what the volume is, 100,000 SMS messages a day. And it's only, 60 or 70 that get dropped. But one of those could be unbelievably important.
Yeah,
and this is something
understood.
that we have no control over. Once we dispatch service, then it's between the service and the carrier. And we've had to, a lot of things, I've seen some of this in the UI and some of the messaging around how SMS functions to comply with new carrier rules that have very recently been put in place. So the industry itself has kind of done the same thing the PCI industry did, 15 years ago. They've decided to heavily regulate SMS in an effort to keep the federal government out of the way. And that's forcing everyone that uses SMS as a bulk SMS sender like we have become. And it's also dropped significantly the reliability of SMS as a platform.
Okay. Eric, I saw you come
the
up.
The other piece of that is we have a growing international MSP population. What's that, Jim?
I just saw Eric a while ago had come off mute to say something. I don't know if he wanted to take an opportunity to say something or he's good.
I'm good.
Okay. Thanks, Eric.
Thanks.
So yeah, to Chip's point, we do have a lot.
I think we can keep going.
Yeah, we do have a lot of MSPs overseas. So this certainly helps them as well. Okay. So
they don't have free SMS the way we do.
Right. Okay. So with that, Adam, thank you very much. I think that deserves a free hat. And we'll look forward to it actually coming out. Are you comfortable providing a timetable?
I don't know when it's going to hit GA and have, everybody being able to grab it from the App Store and everything done. But I personally am planning on having it in the test app for the Google and the Apple side of the house for a very limited number of people, and probably the first week of October, which probably will be our internal team first, so they can beat it up. And then we will do a limited beta to a group of partners first via test flight and the other ways of doing it. And then we'll go GA shortly thereafter, as long as y'all don't break it.
Okay, cool. So Enrique got his answer. Yes, you can sign up via test flight. Okay. Thumbs up from Enrique.
And Daniel's adding him in, so that's good.
Okay. Okay. So moving ahead, our special guest today is Will Ominsky, as I mentioned before. So, Will and I go back a long time, and super happy for him how much success he's had over the recent years at Nerdio. And we got talking, I don't know, Will, maybe 3-4 weeks ago or so, about this perception that I know when talking to some prospects that are using Nerdio and saying, oh, we're on Nerdio. We don't need SaaS Alerts. So I wanted the opportunity to have Will come on. I know everyone on this call is using SaaS Alerts, but you may also be using Nerdio in certain situations and excluding, certain customers from SaaS Alerts because of that. So I just wanted, Will to come on and talk, through, what his thought process is around how SaaS Alerts and Nerdio actually are a better together story for a lot of customers.
Yeah. Thank you for the intro, Jim. Exciting to be on a call with you, as always. And I think it's really interesting what we see out there, similar to what you're seeing, Jim, where people think I'm moving to Azure, I'm moving to Microsoft, I maybe have a virtual desktop, maybe I don't. Security's covered. Microsoft's got me, and that is not the case. So when you move infrastructure into the cloud, whether it's a server or a virtual desktop, you are still responsible for managing and for maintaining that. And I've seen the same perception over many years of doing cloud computing solutions with organizations of all sizes. One of the things to remember is the cloud is just somebody else's infrastructure. You don't necessarily own that infrastructure. You're renting time on it, but that is yours to manage. They will provide the hardware, but in the vast majority of cases, it is the same thing in a virtual desktop example as running a physical virtual desktop. You're not going to just, as an MSP, let your customer get all of these physical machines and say, hey, good luck. Somebody's probably patching it somewhere, right? You're going to be out there with your RMM tool or any other tool that you might have in your toolkit and patching those machines. Microsoft does not patch your machines for you when you move them up into Azure. That is your responsibility. I think part of that perception is kind of created in a lot of ways with the marketing buzz that goes on around moving to cloud. Cloud's more secure. Cloud provides these better outcomes for you, and in some ways, yes, cloud is more secure, but that doesn't mean that you can just go hands off with all of this stuff. You're going to determine your patch schedule, for example. You're going to determine which antivirus products you're going to provide. I looked up an interesting stat, and I'll qualify this, but we had over 1,000 accounts through our MSP channel. So it's 1,000 customers that MSPs have under management with Nerdio, where backup was not turned on in our portal. Like, that is scary. And I think that lends to this exact conversation. Sometimes people think you bring a customer into Azure and backup is there. Backup's included. Well, yeah, Microsoft has backup, but you need to enable it. You need to choose where your recovery site's going to be. You need to choose how often you're backing up. You need to test your restores. That is on you as the MSP to be able to enable. Now, again, that's a very large number. They might be using, a third-party backup and not using Microsoft. We don't have telemetry into that. So hopefully all of those customers are protected with some type of backup solution. But it is really important to be able to select the tools to build your full package that you are delivering to your end customer. And what we see with our most successful partners, Nerdio is a component of that. Microsoft is a component of that. Something like SaaS Alerts is a component of that. Maybe, Defender and, the plethora of other tools that we all have available to us as managed service providers. But it's critically important to make sure that you are protecting your customers. Nerdio ourselves, we don't do anything specifically with securing your customer's tenant. So there's no overlap, for example, in what Nerdio is doing if you are a Nerdio customer or partner, and what you're going to be doing with a product like SaaS Alerts. And those are really, really, again, critical components. I know we have a number of partners. I see some familiar faces, some I just talked to last week on this call, but, make no mistake about it. It is your responsibility. And what pains me and what hurts me is, people don't ask the questions, or they go along with this kind of mentality that things will just be secured. I'm moving into the cloud. And then you have a breach. You have a customer that has a major issue. And for not a lot of money, right, for a little bit of due diligence, you can really provide a much better solution than most of the MSPs in the world who aren't paying attention to this stuff and aren't doing these items and leaving things open and unsecured. So that's kind of my quick soapbox. I have lots of stuff I could talk about in relation to this. I see some stuff in the chat. Jim, I don't know if you have other comments, or if anybody who's maybe using both products or has not using both products has thought about that you'd like me to address.
Well, first of all, thanks, Will. Really appreciate you taking the time to come on and sharing those thoughts with us. Anyone have questions for Will? Comments? how many folks are using Nerdio on this call? I know Enrique is.
Or any other virtual
Yeah.
machine solution pushing out.
Right.
You didn't let
Desktops
me
or
put my Y in. I was just about to type the Y.
Okay. There you
That's awesome. Yeah, Chip makes a really good point there too, right? Nerdio, all we are is an orchestration and management tool specifically for Microsoft, right? Virtual desktops in Microsoft, whether they're terminal services or Azure Virtual Desktop or Windows 365 and Azure infrastructure, and now some Intune that we do as well. But this is true whether you're using any other cloud. I don't care if you're in Google, if you're in AWS in a private data center, if you're using Citrix or VMware Horizon, right? All of these things as MSPs, it is our responsibility to secure them. You know, when Jim and I and Chip and some others were at Independence IT, you know, that was a little different than what we were doing back in those days compared to what we do at Nerdio. That was more what I would consider a DaaS solution, and that's what we see a lot of MSPs provide, is desktop as a service, where you're combining or creating a complete package that includes all of these tools. So really in the Azure world today, there's no real solutions out there. MSPs are creating their own DaaS type of offerings, and a comprehensive DaaS offering would include something like, you know, Nerdio, whatever infrastructure you're using, security products, your RMM, right? Like IT glue, right? You need to document everything. So don't think that just moving to the cloud is going to solve this. You know, I will say moving to Azure specifically helps you with your security posture. You have a single unified identity. You can use things like, you know, your tenant and secure those. And so there are a lot of benefits from a security posture that moving to Azure can help with, that you kind of get a little bit out of the box, but you need to configure it. I could go create a virtual desktop right now and make it very, very unsecure. We've seen that, right? If you click in the wrong buttons, if you don't have, you know, appropriate firewall, for example, in there and appropriate security, it is susceptible as any other device or any other endpoint in the world to these types of threats and bad actors that are out there. And make no mistake, I'm sure this is covered in the SaaS Alerts community. You know, MSPs, as most of you probably know, have a massive target on their back. So you all have, I think, a responsibility to secure things more so in many cases than an individual end customer, because these bad actors know if they can get into your MSP, they have access to hundreds or even thousands of end customers and devices, and that is potentially a big payday for them, as opposed to getting into, you know, Bob's Pest Control down the street. They're going to spend their time trying to get into that MSP over that small to medium sized business down the road.
Awesome. Thanks, Will.
Yep, my pleasure. Always happy to be here, and thank you for including me, and certainly thank you to all the partners that are on the call for working with both organizations.
Awesome. Appreciate you, Will. We'll see you at a show soon.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Take care.
Hey, Jim, can I make a quick comment regarding this stuff?
Yeah.
Hey, so I just spent a couple of days last week in Atlanta with Will and his team doing some Nerdio training. And I know that wasn't his message today, but I want to give them, you know, some kudos for the way they support their customers. They've helped us a lot over the last 6 to 9 months as we've been migrating there. So, you know, his message is loud and clear, and their platform really helps to accomplish some of the things he's talking about.
Awesome. Thanks, Gary. I'm not surprised. I mean, Will's first class all the way, so he learned from the best.
I had very good mentors throughout my career, so make no mistake about that. And some of them are on this call for sure.
But thanks again, Gary. Really appreciate that comment. Okay, we've got 14 minutes left. We don't have to use all of it. That being said, you know, a lot of you are using Forti. Actually the response to Forti has been overwhelmingly positive. And you know, that being said, we want to make sure that everyone knows how to use it, and that we're answering questions that you may have. Right now, we know that the lowest score is a 14. Microsoft security score is a 14 across, you know, thousands of tenants being monitored. the average score is a 44.1. Still, the average number of points that can go up based on the recommended actions is 35 to 40 points. So you can basically take, a 44 and turn it into a 74 really fast. With all that being said, do people have questions, comments, concerns they want to share now about their Forti usage? I'm hopeful that everyone on this call is actually using Forti.
I managed the other day to lock users out of joining our Teams meeting, and it took me about a second to understand that we can't log in, and they send me their Zoom. It was a prospect, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I started with the left, but they're gonna say we can't even get into your Teams. So after the call, I went to look, and I think I turned on a policy, one of the ones for Microsoft Teams and allowing external people or something. So kind of went to what I had applied for ourselves, and I just went and told it to go backwards, and then we were able to go in. So I was a little worried at first. I go, is it really going to go backwards? Is this going to solve my issue? And yeah, it did. So that was really good.
That's
Enrique, I'm so glad you shared that experience. It highlights that it's really important to use the tooltips that are next to the recommendations and give them a good read through before applying, because if you apply everything that's recommended from Microsoft built off the CIS hardening recommendations for 365, it's a very, very tight environment. So you certainly want to be aware you're going to take.
Well, I keep on locking myself out. So yesterday I went into Mexico to one of my offices over there, and I don't know, my checkpoint Harmony didn't come in on time, and something tried to connect before Harmony kicked in to give me a US IP address, and voila, all of a sudden I get the text messages. So going back to the app earlier, that if I'm using the Break Glass account, that would have been great to be able to remediate there instantaneously, which I was able to remediate any which way, but still, that was very useful. So I'm a more break it than fix it guy. So.
That's great feedback. Thanks, Enrique. I know Adam appreciates that comment as well on the app. Okay, he's definitely getting ahead now. There's no two ways about it. Anyone else? Questions or even stories they want to share after deploying Forti? Okay. Well, we got 10 minutes we can give back today. I mean, this is your time to ask questions and dig in and ask, by the way, each other questions as well in terms of best practices and usage and things of that nature. But if you don't want it, go ahead.
A silly question around employee education. Is there a way to begin to tie in that they are, if you're looking at the Forti score, other aspects that add to security around email, driving in, other services that we could tack in on the Forti score? Hey, not only are you compliant, but you're taking advantage of employee training, you're taking advantage of whatever else.
So it's like security awareness training, like having that be a factor,
right,
in the score.
Because I think that's going to be it's more and more part of overall security. I don't, where I'm going with this is I don't want a customer to perceive that just because I got a Microsoft score of 100 and they're doing no employee awareness training, that they're safe, right? Because there's more to this around usage. So I just thought I'd throw that out as a thought process.
It's a good thought process. Leron?
Yeah, so I can definitely speak to that. We believe, right, that in order to have a secure Microsoft tenant, Microsoft does a good job of giving you recommendations that you have to apply. CIS does a really good job of providing additional recommendations that you have to apply. And there's other frameworks out there that are going to do the same thing. Training goes into it, right? We all know that in order to secure a tenant, you have to do a whole bunch of different things in order to do that. And so we plan to fold a bunch of those into our application. And we're actually looking at right now adding additional DLP policies, for example. right? So we're looking to get those in. So from our standpoint, we have to prioritize what are those things that we can automate to help you secure your customers the fastest, and eventually work our way up to a Forti-fest score, which could potentially incorporate a lot of those custom components that you talked about, such as training. But at this point, we think that we can help you secure your customers faster by doing things like giving you DLPs and some of those CIS recommendations that Microsoft doesn't provide, that we can automate so that you could increase that score. And then when you do, we're going to have to figure out how to do a Forti-fest score.
You know, something that just came up while you were talking about this is Forti-fest score, allowing us to co-brand Forti-fest score with our MSP. You know, if it's healthcare practice IT's Forti-fest score, this what makes it special and unique, and drive that out to our customers. I think that has actually got a good messaging ring to it.
Yeah,
it does. You're always got the marketing angle, Andy. But look, end of the day, we encourage folks to private label as much as possible on the platform, right down to the marketing materials that we provide. So I think that is a really good idea. And yeah, I see that becoming a good possibility on the road.
Quick question right now. You said reports saves me time to open up a support ticket. There's an option to white label your own reports under reporting, the automated reports. And I don't know if I check marked after I set them up, or will it remove completely the SaaS Alerts logo and replace it with ours? Does it co-brand it?
It replaces it with the logo that you upload.
Okay. So okay, interesting. Okay.
Okay, good questions. Anybody else? Any other comments? Okay, happy to give you 6 minutes back. We'll look forward to seeing everybody back here next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Hope everyone has a great day. Make it a good one.
Guys, likewise.
Cover your SaaS.
You know.